I've always been fascinated by the circus. The lights, acts, and atmosphere are like stepping into another world. So when I saw a flyer for Cirque de l'Étrange pinned to a community board, I couldn't resist. The design was vintage, almost like it belonged to another era, and it promised a night of unimaginable wonders. I arrived at the venue, an old theater that had seen better days. The marquee was dimly lit, and the entrance was adorned with faded velvet ropes. I bought my ticket from a woman dressed in a 19th century gown, her eyes hidden behind a feathered mask.
"Enjoy the show,"
she said, her voice tinged with a mysterious accent. The show usually started enough acrobats, magicians, and jugglers performed their acts with skill and grace. But then the clowns came on stage. They were unlike any clowns I'd ever seen. Their makeup was minimal, their costumes almost elegant, but their eyes were unsettling. They seemed to look right through me as if they knew something I didn't. As the clowns performed, I felt increasingly uneasy. Their act was a strange blend of comedy, horror, laughter, and screams. And then, one of them looked directly at me and beckoned. Before I knew it, I was on stage, a part of the act. They handed me a balloon, a simple red balloon, and told me to pop it. When I did, a cloud of smoke enveloped me, and for a moment, I lost all sense of time and place. When the smoke cleared, I returned to my seat, but something had changed. The audience was gone, the theater empty, except for the clowns who stood on stage, their eyes filled with an evil glee.
"You wanted reality, didn't you?"
one of them said, his voice echoing in the empty theater.
"Well, welcome to our reality."
I felt a chill run down my spine as they began to laugh, a laugh that was both human and inhuman, a laugh that I knew would haunt me forever. I ran out of the theater, my heart pounding, and didn't stop until I reached the safety of my car. As I drove away, I looked in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see a clown's face, but there was nothing, just the dark, empty road. Yet, even now, as I sit in the safety of my home, I can't shake the feeling that the clowns from Cirque de l'Étrange are still out there, somewhere, waiting for their next performance, in a reality that is far more terrifying than any act. I've always enjoyed organizing parties for my kids. When my youngest son, Max, turned 5, I decided to hire a professional clown. After a brief search, I found a clown named Harry who performed home shows. His reviews were excellent, and the price was reasonable. When Harry arrived, his makeup and costume seemed perfect. Bright red lips, a white face, and a big red nose. But his eyes, there was something unsettling about them. At the beginning of the performance, the kids excitedly ran around him, laughing and clapping at his tricks. But as each trick passed, I could feel the atmosphere changing. Harry began sharing stories from his own childhood about how other kids had mocked him, and how he decided to become a clown to escape his past. One of his tricks involved a magic hat. He asked Max to reach inside it. Max hesitated and then quickly pulled his hand out, revealing gruesome burn-like makeup. The kids screamed in fear. But Harry quickly washed the makeup off with water, and everyone laughed, thinking it was just a trick. As the performance came to an end, Harry approached me and whispered,
"Did you like my last trick?"
I replied that it was a bit scary for the kids. He smiled and said,
"Now you know what it feels like to experience real fear."
His smile stretching so wide that his makeup seemed like a part of his face, rather than just a layer on it. After he left, I noticed that the room's atmosphere remained heavy. Looking at the kids, I realized they felt it too. I took them to their room and began cleaning up the party. trying to distract myself. Suddenly, I noticed something strange. One of the toys Harry had used in his performance, a small clown with the same smiling mask, was on the table. I was sure I had cleared all the toys. Just then, I heard a child scream. Rushing into the room, I saw Max pointing at the window, yelling, "Clown! There's a clown!" I quickly glanced out the window but saw no one. As I turned back to calm him, I saw a note on the table next to the toy clown.
Be more careful who you invite into your home next time.
It read. We never saw Harry again, but every night before bed, Max meticulously checks all corners of his room and closes the curtains. And me, every time I pass by street performers or see clowns on TV, I feel a cold shiver of fear, recalling that smile, terrifying, bottomless, and eerily real. I've always enjoyed late-night walks. There's something about the quiet streets and the cool air that helps me think. But one night, my peaceful routine was shattered. I was walking down Crown Street, a road I'd walked 100 times before, when I saw a clown standing under the dim glow of a street light. This was no ordinary clown. His costume was ragged, almost decaying, and his makeup looked like it had been applied years ago and never washed off. But it was his eyes that truly horrified me. They were pitch black, as if they absorbed all light, locking onto me with an intensity that made my blood run cold. As I walked closer, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was making a terrible mistake, but my feet seemed to move on their own, carrying me closer and closer to the clown. When I was just a few feet away, he spoke.
Care to join me?
He whispered, his voice dripping with malevolent delight. Every fiber of my being urged me to run, but I was paralyzed, ensnared by the clown's soulless gaze. Summoning every ounce of courage, I managed to respond. "No, thank you," I said, my voice trembling. His grin widened grotesquely, revealing teeth that looked more like jagged shards of glass.
Ha, you choose wisely,
he hissed.
But every choice casts a shadow.
In an instant, the street light above us flickered off, plunging us into darkness. I heard the sound of footsteps circling around me, accompanied by a low, guttural laugh that seemed to come from all directions. When the light flickered back on, the clown had vanished, but his haunting laughter still reverberated in the air. I sprinted home, my heart pounding like a drum. I bolted all the doors and windows, but even now, as I sit in my living room, I can't escape the feeling that I'm still not alone. Days have turned into weeks, but the memory of that clown haunts my every waking moment. I've abandoned my late-night walks, too terrified of what or who I might encounter. And sometimes, when the night is at its darkest, I hear the distant sound of footsteps, a grim reminder that some choices and some encounters are inescapable.